Sometimes the cover-up was worse than the crime, and the crime was bad enough.
4 former prosecutors are speaking out tonight, accusing their former boss of intentionally mishandling this horrific police shooting. And as a Channel 2 Action News Atlanta Journal-Constitution investigation exposed this summer, the South Georgia District Attorney took extraordinary measures to help clear those officers. Investigative reporter Jody Fleischer here with why many on the DA's staff thought her actions were over the line.
Justin, the GBI agent who supervised this investigation told us Caroline Small's killing was the worst police shooting he'd ever seen. In July, we exposed records showing how the district attorney who took those officers to a grand jury stacked the deck in their favor. Our reporting prompted several of her former prosecutors to come forward in an effort to right the wrongs that have troubled them for 5 years.
This makes me angry. She's giving them. There was no one in our office given this.
Former Glynn County prosecutor David Peterson could not believe the records our investigation uncovered. District Attorney Jackie Johnson, his former boss, had made a deal with 2 police officers she was supposed to be considering charging. She took the case to a grand jury, but never showed them an indictment.
I think the grand jury here was undercut, misused, and abused, and they were lied to.
The grand jury cleared officers Corey Sasser and Todd Simpson of a police shooting so shocking none of these prosecutors could believe their eyes. Caroline Small had committed no crime that morning. She drove off when an officer walked up to check on her in a mall parking lot. She drove erratically, eventually blocked in by a utility pole and several patrol cars. On video, one officer said if she moved again, he was going to shoot her. Then they did.
This was a murder and was covered up.
Jonathan Miller resigned to run against Johnson in 2012, in part because of her handling of this case. He said it still troubles him.
There's 2 little kids out there that don't have a mama. She deserves her day in court.
Keith Higgins was a senior prosecutor in Johnson's office. He's broken down in tears over how the justice system failed.
It has affected me very deeply in that regard, in that someone was very brutally killed unnecessarily, and nothing has been done about it.
He says the officers' claims that they feared for their lives did not hold up against the video and other evidence. The Glynn Police Department took extraordinary steps to protect its officers, creating this inaccurate animation. It shows how Small could have run over the officers, which the investigation proved impossible. The DA showed it to the grand jury anyway.
A prosecutor should do what's right, do it in the right way, and do it for the right reason. Ms. Johnson failed to do any of those in this case.
He says with no indictment presented, the officers had no right to be in the grand jury room. Johnson also allowed their attorneys to speak, which is unheard of, and she'd given them all of the evidence 2 months earlier.
So who the hell is representing the public? Who the hell is representing Caroline Small?
Johnson excluded those who best knew the evidence, fired colleagues who wanted the case prosecuted, and even a victim's advocate who questioned the lack of indictment.
We were frozen out of it. That was abnormal.
Peterson, who is also an ex-cop, believes Johnson violated prosecutorial ethics and betrayed her duty to uphold justice. He says she should be impeached.
Sometimes the cover-up was worse than the crime, and the crime was bad enough.
The former prosecutors are now calling on the governor and attorney general to review the case in hopes that the GBI will reopen it. Jackie Johnson declined our request for an interview, but sent a statement saying she took her oath seriously when she presented the case to the grand jury. She did not address any of the specifics from our investigation.
So give us a little something deeper here, Jody. What's the motivation here? Why would she go to these extremes?
Well, it's possible she may have just seen it differently than those other prosecutors, but they also say she was so concerned about damaging her relationship with the police department that it created a conflict of interest. Now, remember, she is elected in a very pro-law enforcement community.
All right. Jody Fleischer, thank you for that. Caroline Small's family did file a civil suit in federal court that was dismissed by a judge, never went to jury. The 2 officers both remain in law enforcement today.
That is your brother, King Cam. As you can see in the news clip, there is dirty cop work and corruption all over this case dealing with our brother, Ahmaud Arbery, and the shooting that took place way back in February of our brother jogging in the neighborhood. And as you can see, that has came out in the last couple of weeks. There has been, the last week or 2, you have seen 4 highly ranked law enforcement officials actually go into custody. 3 of them were ex-police officers, 1 of them a police chief. But as the news clip revealed to us, there's actually been a history of corruption no matter what the skin color was of the person that ended up being the victim. The police down there just happen to be dirty, and you have prosecutors working to cover up cases of murder. So if they would do this to their own people, what chance do we have? What chance do we stand if they go and kill somebody that look like us? So it's all coming out now. But more importantly, we have to get justice for our brother Ahmaud Arbery. And more importantly, we have to start putting preventative measures in place so that we don't have to continue going through this same cycle of events. We have to be solution-based, proactive. We have to get more involved in the things that's happening in our community so we don't have these type of problems again. We can't continue to sit back and be reactive, because if we continue to be reactive, then we allow this type of stuff to happen. We have to protect our women. We have to protect our families. We have to protect our young brothers. We have to protect all of that. And the way to do that is by being proactive. And one of the ways that we can go about doing that is actually getting involved. Let's show up to our local town hall meetings. Let's see who these people that are running for these seats in our community and government, and let's find out if they qualify to even represent us. Because all politicians work for the people. So they should have an agenda based on what the people's needs are. And then the people should say, okay, this is a person that we stand behind. Let's finance this person and get them into a seat of position and power that can allow us to be prosperous. If that's not the thinking that we have, then what you're going to have is corrupt individuals in government that have the power to cover up even things that are totally wrong. But this is the manifestation of all falsehood now. It's coming out. And remember how they used to say anything done in the dark is going to come to the light? That's all happening. So now the new mindset that has to go into politics, the new mindset that has to go into positions of power has to be a righteous, truthful mindset that's going to be willing to administer justice to all and be willing to work on behalf of the poor and oppressed people that really the backs of this country is built upon. So we got to get justice for our brother, Ahmaud Arbery, but we also have to get solution-based and we have to get active. More often than not, we get into industries that are necessary, but they don't have the power behind them to cause and create real change. So it's good that we get into the hair industry. It's good that we get into the health industry. It's good that we get into the food industry and things of that nature, restaurants, food trucks, you know, all these different things as far as going into business, because entrepreneurship is powerful. But there has to be a section of us also willing to go and at least take a shot at getting a power seat so that now we can empower the entrepreneurs in the community. Once you get a seat in local government, now you have the ability to sway funds in the direction of those in most need. You have the ability to sway and secure funds in the direction of those that are trying to build schools. You have the ability to assist the entrepreneurship in your community. You have the ability to assist and direct the community policing in your community. You have the ability to do all of that. You become top empowered when you have the ability to do that through those seats. But we don't even take the opportunity, or we don't even attempt to try to get in those seats. And because we don't even attempt to get in those seats, or those of us that have black skin but a white mindset go into those seats of power, then we see no results. So we can't continue to blame leaders. We can't continue to blame pastors. We can't continue to blame nobody but those of us who live in the community and allow this foolishness to continue to go on. It's on us. The minister at the Million Man March gave all of the men marching orders to go back to your community and make it a safe and decent place to live. Start businesses. You understand? Employ your people. Build hospitals. The minister gave you instruction for you to go out and carry it out. Because self-improvement is the basis for community development, not leadership somewhere nationally that doesn't have an immediate effect on where you live. You got to control your own community. This is the last time we're going to hashtag and put somebody on a t-shirt without us being actively involved. Peace.